My guest today is Hungarian concert pianist and four-time Guinness World Record holder, Dr. Charles Brunner. With no less than 3 MAs and a PhD in music under his belt, this storehouse of talent and professionalism has chosen to make Trinidad and Tobago his home and has committed himself to the uplift of our society through the delivery of the most proper musical education to our talented youth. Sit with me to learn more as I engage in conversation with Dr. Charles Brunner. Dr. Brunner, welcome.
Honored.
And thank you so much for agreeing to share your time with us.
Certainly.
I know that you're no stranger to Trinidad and Tobago television. You've been on so many programs for many years now, but it's always good to have an update on what you're doing. Yes?
Excellent, right.
On this program, Conversations With at TV4, we always like to look a bit into the background of a person. Everyone would know you as a concert pianist and so as a Guinness World Record holder, as a music teacher. They would have this general idea, but how much do they really know about Charles Brunner? So we'd like to take a look into your past as we begin chatting with you today. I know that you're from Hungary, and I know that you were born into some turbulent times, and many of your formative years were spent, you know, under trying conditions for the society in which you were growing up. Hungary was invaded, so to speak, by Germany. Around
by
19
everybody.
By everybody.
Always.
Yes.
Once from west, once from east.
And all of that. Well, there must be something there that they were hungry for, that they kept on going there. But
actually, mostly they were hungry. And
yes.
we always had very good food and vegetables and fruits because of the even
landscape?
Country. Yeah, that is, we are famous for that.
And yes, well, there are two things that all the world is after, and that's oil and food. So
exactly.
Yes. So it was about 1944, I think, yes, when the Germans would have come into Hungary and really shake things up there and changed things. You were around what age at that time?
I was born way after that.
Way after that.
I was born in 1957.
In 1957.
57. But of course, from my parents and from my grandparents and many people surrounding us, I heard plenty incredible stories about the wars and my grandfather.
So when you were born, was Hungary still under communist
It was
rule?
already under communist rule. Actually, I was born the year after we had the famous 1956 revolution in Hungary, and that's when the Russians came in under Soviet Union and put their pressure on Hungary, and we never became part of the Soviet Union, but we were political and of course regiment and army pressure under the Soviet Union. So that was pretty bad, and it was pretty long. It went on another 39 years after that.
39 years. What was it like for you as a young man to be living in such a society? How did that impact upon you and your development?
It's very interesting you asking that, because as a child I never really realized that. I think, thanks to my parents, who were focusing more on my and my brother's education. I have an older brother, and we never really got involved with the politics until I reached that certain age when I got really terribly hit by the politics. But back to my early years, I was born into a very poor family. My mother was a daughter of a butcher and a factory worker. My father was a son of a person who worked 23 years of his life to develop his own business, and then the communist Soviet Union took it away, and unfortunately he took his life for that. And we had nothing in the house, not even bathroom and toilet, but we had a very old piano. And my father played in bars, and I spent a lot of time under the piano, listening
Under the piano,
listening
absorbing
to him.
the sound.
He was practicing a lot because he grew up during the Second World War. He didn't have a chance to get the proper education, but he was very, very ambitious, and he wanted to improve his own skills. So he was practicing a lot, and I was listening to that, and because I had no toys, not even a ball to kick, so I got very interested at very early age. I would say 3-4 years old of the piano, and he started to teach me, and I picked it up very fast, and I had a lot of joy.
Oh, that's amazing.
During the years.
You were saying that living in a communist society, there were pros and there were cons. And of course, you've told us about the fact that, well, although you were from a family that was less privileged, it was really bad because, I mean, as you say, no toys, as you say, no toilet and bath even, you know. People in Trinidad are so lucky, and sometimes we don't count our blessings, you know. But when we hear stories like yours, then we realize how we should be counting our blessings and saying thank God for what we have, instead of always wanting more and more and more. Because you with nothing, you know, ended up...
Imagine not even telephone in the house.
No telephone.
No TV, no nothing, no computer, nothing like that.
Yes.
That's my message actually to today's youth, that look how far I got without those
things,
advantages they have today.
Yes.
Right? So they have an incredible advantage to have those. If I had a computer with the software I have now,
yes,
I could have saved probably 5-6 years of my study years.
Of your studies.
We had to write all the music by hand and
yes.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
The communist system's good side was that my education, including the 3 master degrees and the PhD, was free.
Was all
so
free.
My parents didn't have to pay for it. I had to advance. I had to go through exams and other tests every year to be able to be in that class.
To go further. You had to show that you were performing.
But they never had to pay for it.
So, as you said, that was the one advantage of living under a communist society.
Well, disadvantage was that when I was 17 and was the second youngest person in my country ever to achieve a master degree.
At 17?
Yes, as a concert pianist. 2 weeks later, I was called in by the government, and I was asked to join the Communist Party. Because the concept was that they wanted to suck in all those people who were popular, who were artistic, talented. They thought that they're gonna be big shots, and they wanted to take them as part of the parties to make the Communist Party stronger. Because out of the 10 million population, there was only 800,000 communists.
I see, so they
but they
wanted to grow
ruled
there.
the country because of the help of the Soviet Union. And they wanted us to be part of it, so they become stronger. And I was brought up totally differently than that. So when they asked me that, I naturally said no.
You said no.
And that was a terrible sentence for myself.
What happened as a result of that?
Well, after my diploma concert for the master degree of concert pianist, there were articles in the newspaper. I was invited for a TV talk show. I was planned to be be successful. But when I said no, I was blacklisted.
You were blacklisted.
Yes, and I did not have a chance not to play a concert, not to get a job, not absolutely nothing for years. So I had to actually look for something else. But I went back to study. I did a master degree as a teacher, I did a master degree as a conductor, and I did my PhD, and at the same time I took a job in the Hungarian Ballet Institute, and I was playing for the ballet exercises in the morning from 6 a.m., in the afternoon for the folk dance group exercise, in the evening at the opera house for the ballet exercises.
And your father was still alive at this time?
Yes, yes.
What did he think about what happened to you?
Well, he was under that kind of pressure for many years too, because he was a very popular personality of the nightlife in Hungary. He had a famous band, and they entertained people in bars. But when it came to a political subject, he was under pressure too, and he didn't want to be a communist, never ever either. And that's why I said no too, because that's how we lived at home. You know, that was a special thing that my parents got married in a church, right? Because under the communist era,
not allowed.
You were not supposed to do that. My teacher at the University of Music, he was a priest.
Oh, dear, really?
But he had to keep it in secret.
Yes.
So I remember one Sunday, we went many Sundays we spent with swimming and hiking. And one time we took a train, and we took the train and we traveled about 200 kilometers out of Budapest into a very old Hungarian town called Gyula. And when we arrived, it was Sunday service time, and we just passed the main square of Gyula, and we heard the music from the church. And my father said, so why don't we drop in, check how and guess what? My professor teacher was preaching.
Oh my,
He had to go so far
to be able to do it safely.
And exactly.
Yes.
You can imagine after the conversation between him and my father, not to tell anyone.
Yes.
Because he would have lost his job.
Yes.
And now he's in a good position because 1989 the communism collapsed.
Yes.
And all those people who were against them, they got back their recompensation of all those pushbacks and such. Not me, because that years I already was out of the country. I still carry a Hungarian passport, but I spend very little time in Hungary. As a matter of fact, the last 9 years I didn't even leave Trinidad.
Oh, you see?
I got so much involved with teaching,
in the work that you're doing here. And what we want to do now is talk about you and music. So you told us that you learned at first basically through absorbing what your father was doing when he practiced on the piano. So that started putting music into your soul and into your very being as you developed. Then he taught you, so he was your first teacher. Subsequent to that, you told us you went on to study. Of course, the state paid for all of that, so you were lucky in that respect. Of course, you had to excel in order to be able to graduate from one level to another, which you did. And then you told us you went on to do your master's degrees, yeah?
Yeah, actually every 2 years I went on. First I did the teacher master degree, then I wanted to become a conductor. Because that was a very interesting. And to become a classical conductor, you have to study a lot of instruments. So I was studying all those instruments, how to play, how to technically achieve anything, all those instruments, because a conductor's work is mostly at the rehearsals.
Yes.
Right, so you have to be able to tell a cellist how to play a thing. If you want to get your performance thoughts through the artist who plays the cello.
Yes.
You have to be able to tell them what to do. If you don't know how to play the instrument, you are not a conductor.
But in an orchestra of that type, how many instruments are there? How many different instruments?
Plenty. Well, all sections. So
yes.
I had to do actually a semester of one instrument of every section, the string section, the woodwinds, the brass,
yes.
and the percussions and such.
I see. So then you're intimate with what it's all about, how it operates, how it works, and as you say, the knowledge comes together so that you're able to conduct them and you know, identify with them as you tell them what to do.
It's an incredible job.
I can imagine.
I loved my studies. We were able to conduct actually really